Hi, I'm Barbara Baksa, Executive Director for the NASPP. Welcome to my video series, Stuff I Learned at the NASPP Conference. For today's video, I'm going to present 3 things that I learned at the session Going Global, Best Practices and Lessons Learned. This session was moderated by Tommy Swindle of UBS and included 3 issuers who presented a host of tips gleaned from their many years of experience administering global stock plans. Our first tip comes from Carrie Gill of Applied Materials. Carrie's tip is to organize your data. And by that, Carrie means look at your different data records, so your grant records, your employee records, and assign codes to those records that will facilitate your reporting and your compliance processes. One tip or one example that Carrie gave is that for all of her grants to employees in China, they all have a single code assigned to them, and that one code drives all of their China Safe compliance. Our second tip comes from Rachel Smith of TE Connectivity. Rachel's tip is to create a plan administration manual. So this is a document where you list out all your different policies and procedures, compliance procedures, exchange controls, everything that you need to do to make sure that your global stock plan operates smoothly. Rachel suggests that rather than just copying the language of the statutes into the manual, make sure you take that language and you translate it into plain English, into something that's meaningful to you, so that as you're trying to figure out the laws in the future, you already have that clearly explained. And then organize your manual by country, or maybe by award type, or both. And then it should be a living document. So as you make new decisions about your policies and procedures, you should update your plan administration manual in real time. One thing that Tommy pointed out is that we've all learned in this pandemic that this manual needs to be available online so that you can access it no matter where you're working. Our last tip comes from Dan Ferretti of Campbell Soup. Dan's tip is that you need to know where your data comes from, where it's going, and when. Dan suggests creating a map, an actual visual map, sort of like the image I have here, with labels, of course, that provides just an illustration of how all the different data flows from one system to another for your stock plan. Another tip from Dan, so tip number 4, that's a bonus tip, is to map out all your major events and your reporting deadlines by country, so you always know what's coming up. This was a fantastic session. I barely scratched the surface. Each issuer presented a case study. There were so many handy tips and best practices and practice pointers. It's definitely worth your time to listen to the session. Going Global, Best Practices and Lessons Learned. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the conference.